Yes.
And Sena Patamendigi, are you present? Sena Patamendigi. Nandani, are you present? Yeah. Nandani? You are from which university?
I am from University of Rohana.
Okay. Di Costa, you are present?
I'm present. From the University of Sri Jagan.
Chandrasiri, are you present? Okay, now we have already got recordings, and Umanda will introduce the first presentation.
So our first presenter is Sena Naikaji, and the title, Textile Decolorization Ability of Decaying Hardwood Associated Fungi.
And today's marks will be allocated by Dr. Tilak Chandra Tilak. Are you present, Tilak?
Yes, I am here.
Colors give an amusing pleasure to the eyesight. But today, I'm not going to talk about colorization, but about textile dye decolorization using hardwood-associated fungi. I'm Gayatri Senanayake from University of Kelaniya. Moving on with the introduction, what are textile dyes? They are the substances used to color fabrics, and their aqueous application result in permanent coloration. Dyes can be divided as natural dyes, which are extracted from plants, minerals, and animals, and as synthetic dyes. These synthetic dyes can be categorized considering the chemical structure as azo, indigo, and considering the application method as reactive and dispersive. But unfortunately, the improper management practices jeopardize the environment even at very low concentrations, causing a great threat to the flora, fauna, and sometimes to humans, being toxic, mutagenic, and carcinogenic. Because of that, this is an ideological topic among the researchers around the world, how to minimize. Though there are chemical and physical methods available, they are not cost-effective. Sometimes they produce more hazardous end products. Due to that, biological methods is the trend, especially fungal treatments, because they have found that fungal treatments are more efficient compared to bacterial treatments. Margaret et al. Mentions that white red fungus Trametes vesicolor is 20 times more efficient compared to bacteria and catalyzes the degradation of complex biopolymers, including industrial dyes, by utilizing their extracellular lacase. And this confirms that lacase plays a major role in textile dye decolorization. At the same time, Swami and Ramsey mentions that wood decaying fungi has the ability to secrete powerful enzymes such as lacase and degrade hardwood components, including the second most abundant biopolymer on earth, lignin. So, in Sri Lanka, 76% of the island's total forest cover accounts for the dry zone forests, giving rise to economically valuable hardwood. And because of these favorable climatic conditions, it enables several fungal species to grow. And since they are colonizing on hardwood, it's obvious that they might be strong lacase producers. With that, our research had 3 objectives to determine the lacase producing abilities of selected decaying wood-associated fungal isolates and to ascertain their lignin degradation abilities and to evaluate the synthetic dye decolorization abilities of decaying wood-associated fungi, and hypothesized that decaying wood-associated fungal strains with the ability to produce lignin-degrading enzymes can decolorize textile dyes. In the methodology, this is the list of isolates used in the study, and these isolates were obtained from our research group's culture collection stored at the department, and they were collected in the field visit done at the Dimulagala Forest Reserve. For the qualitative analysis of lactase enzyme production, PDA medium containing guaiacol was prepared, and mycelial discs were inoculated and incubated. And finally, the presence of a brick red color around the mycelia was recorded as the positive result. Lignin amended malt extract agar medium was used to qualitatively analyze the lignin degradation ability. Mycelial discs were inoculated and incubated. And after the incubation, they were flooded with a freshly prepared solution of iron chloride and potassium ferricyanide. Finally, the formation of clear zones were recorded as the positive result. In the textile dye decolorization assay, indigo carmine blue, azo-dispersed rubin red, and dispersed black dyes were used with these mentioned concentrations. And after the incubation, the samples were withdrawn in 7, 14, 21 days intervals, and the dye decolorization percentage was calculated using this equation after obtaining the absorbance measurements. So now let's move on with the most interesting part, results and discussion. In the qualitative analysis of lactase enzyme production, 5 isolates identified as lactase producers as they gave red color formation like this around the mycelial mat. And this red color is due to the oxidation of guaiacol by the enzyme lactase. In the qualitative analysis of lignin degradation, apart from the 5 lactase producers, DDW10A and UKC gave positive results giving a clear zone formation like this. And this clear zone formation is due to the oxidation of phenolic components. In the textile dye decolorization assay, for the azo-dispersed rubin red dye, KH2, which is Phlebiopsis flavidolba, showed promising results. As you can see in the graph, which is dye decolorization percentage versus days, KH2 gave 89% dye decolorization. In the indigo carmine blue dye, DZFK2 gave the highest dye decolorization percentage, which is Fusarium pseudensiforme, and the value was 85%. In here, we observe that the mycelial mats of DZFK2 has adsorbed the dye particles, and the isolates DPW and DLP showed an increasement in the absorbance values, as well as the media has become viscous. In the dispersed black dye, it's again KH2 gave the highest dye decolorization percentage, which is Phlebiopsis flavidolba, and the percentage value was 81%. So, according to those results, we can conclude that there were 5 lactase producers and 7 lignin degraders, and some non-lactase producers were found to be lignin degraders, indicating the complex nature of the carbon cycle mechanism. Because this can be because though they didn't produce lactases, they might be producing some lignin degrading enzymes which enable them to degrade lignin. For the azo-dispersed rubin red and dispersed black dyes, the best decolorizer was Phlebiopsis flavidolba. I would like to mention that we are the pioneers to report Phlebiopsis flavidolba as a great textile dye decolorizer. For the indigo carmine blue dye, the best dye decolorizer was Fusarium pseudensiforme. 2 Schizophyllum communae strains may have secreted an exopolysaccharide called schizophyllin, and this might be the reason why they made the broth viscous. Though they were identified as lactase producers, their dye decolorization ability was low. According to the results, both biodegradation and biosorption may have involved in the dye decolorization. However, the exact mechanism is not clear. That concludes my presentation, and I would like to acknowledge my undergraduate research supervisor, Professor Renuka Attanayaka, my department, Plant and Molecular Biology, University of Kelaniya, and the research grants. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That you need.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, one is now you have tested this one in vitro, no? Only in the laboratory conditions you have tested
Yes.
this one.
Yes.
And one of the problem issues I have is, now you said that you have a collection of fungi which you have collected from various sources, but you have collected from wood decay fungi or just a fungi. Now these are basidiomyces fungi or
Both basidiomyces and ascomites are there. So actually these were collected specifically from hardwood decay, like they were on hardwood. So specifically we selected hardwood decaying fungi and we stored them at the department, sir.
why did you want to go to the forest to collect the hardwood decaying fungi? Decaying fungi is present inside the decayed wood. Now in the wood decay, they call brown rot, white rot, soft rot fungi. And now normally if it is a basidiomyces, it is brown rot, and if it is otherwise soft rot. And you know what kind of decay type from these? Now, have you tested these fungi on wood? Firstly.
Actually, we isolated them from the decaying wood. Sir. So
it's true, that is true.
We
But
just wanted to give the.
What we want you have not shown is what kind of decay observed in the wood. You
Yes,
have
sir.
fungi, that's okay. And you said that we have pioneering on one particular fungi. Because in Sri Lanka, not on this one, we have another front. In order to test for the wood decay fungi, we have not isolated Sri Lankan decay fungi. But what my fear is that whether actually you have isolated the wood decay fungi or the fungi gone in the forest.
Hiran, I think the Gayatri may not be able to answer that because that's part of her. Actually, we did test that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she's just an undergrad. So we had a separate project testing the wood decay part as well. Thank you.
Very good. That's why I'm asking that.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Now you have now isolated these fungi, no? You know that these fungi will cause wood decay, no?
Yes, sir, because I am using from the culture collection that are stored in the department, and previously they have done this thing.
Right. Then the other part is Dr. Attanayaka also I was having is that now that from these isolated fungi, you test for the what do you call this decoloration, no? Discoloration.
Yeah.
And then can we actually test in future research? I think no, if we can test in actual fact whether this will work. This is worked in the laboratory condition, neither.
Yeah, Gayatri can answer that, I think.
Yes, yes, sir. Actually, that's the ultimate goal of this research, sir. So I have gone through with these application methods. According to the literature, there are a few methods that we can apply directly the fungus strains, such as utilization, these immobilization techniques, and as well as we can sometimes extract the enzymes, and then we can apply them using encapsulation techniques, where we can include these enzymes into a capsule, let's say, and once the capsule is introduced to the contaminated area, they can slowly release the enzyme and can process on the decolorization processor. So actually it's something that we need to do in future. This was the beginning of the research, sir.
Have anyone else to answer any question? You can ask. Thank you very much for this research, and I'm very much interested, Dr. Attanayaka, to see that your culture collection, and you can do a lot of things in there, because we need in Sri Lanka to test the in vitro what do you call the natural durability testing, and also for preservative testing. So we would like you can work on that line in future.
Yeah, sorry, what was the durability of the woods, right?
Now, durability of wood, normally we do the what is called graveyard trial or field exposure trial. Certain countries they have developed the particular fungi, if they have isolated fungi, and also to some extent on the what do you call termites as well. That is separate one. Now, say there are new company in Sri Lanka. They have imported. There are several chemicals on air importing. So we want to test the efficacy of these chemicals. So at the moment, what they are doing is we just test on the graveyard. It takes a lot of time to get the result. Now, if you have isolated those fungi, there are testing methods where you inoculate this fungi into timber and check the weight loss.
Yeah,
Weight
yeah,
loss in
yeah,
14 teak with a say teak which is a very durable species, then we can say that this is effective as teak or whether it is less effective as teak. That kind of thing. I will tell you.
We tested on teak actually when we did the weight loss assay for teak. I think Pramisha is here, my other student. Yeah, we did it on teak.
Teak.
Oh, mahogany and teak. I think yes. Another student did teak, another one did mahogany. Yeah.
The mahogany is not a very durable timber. You can take as a teak hardwood is very durable.
Okay.
That can be taken as a very what you call a very effective timber.
Actually,
And
unpublished way, we did even what is this black color wood, the black wood? Ebony. We tried that one as well. Yeah.
Right. So ebony.
Yeah.
So I would. That is separate research. Separate research.
It's just a testing because we can't get the real enough amounts of the black wood legally. So it was like just someone who we know.
Contact us. We will not. I mean, I will tell you there are ASTM standards and there are a lot of procedure standards we can share with you.
Okay, very nice. Thank you for organizing this.
Going to be interesting, and we want someone to test this one. And we have an Archit is available here at the moment. Of some companies giving us, they have to check the chemicals. Let us say of the chemicals in order to promote. We know that is good, but we have to check it in the field. So this is a good method, right? Okay.
Yeah. Have a good day. Thank you.
Right.
I will send you my contact details. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. Second presentation, Sena Pratibigdi, I think, is she available? Role of cultural values.
Can we kindly know if Sena Pratibigdi is available?
She's not available today. She is having exams, but co-author Achini Silva, I'm available.
Right. Okay. Right. You are the.
I am the co-author.
Okay. Right. Very good. You are from which university?
I'm from Sabaragamuwa.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
From Department of Architecture, Faculty of Built Environment and Spatial Science, General Sir John Kotalawala Defence University. The research topic is Role of Cultural Values on the Consumption of Timber for Architectural Purpose. This is the content of the presentation. So let's move on to the introduction. Culture affects every part of our lives. So cultural influence on consumption of goods and services plays high attention. Therefore, consumption of durable essentials like timber for architectural purpose considered as important decision to make. Research problem. What are the cultural values associated with timber used for architectural purpose? Next, objectives. This study aimed to identify the impact of cultural values on consumption decision of timber for the architectural purpose, especially on house construction in Sri Lanka. Next, the methodology. Study composed of the range of professional carpenters, contractors of housing project, timber stones owners, and consumers engaged in house construction. Data collection tools. Study heavily based on qualitative data and data collection tools were in-depth interviews. Storytelling exercise was performed with aged and experienced carpenters, timber store owners, and contractors to obtain the insights on cultural values associated with the selection of timber for architectural purpose. Semi-structured interviews were conducted by telephone with individuals selected for relevant practical knowledge of cultural values associated with various types of timber. All interviews were audio recorded and they transcribed into qualitative tool. Next, results and discussion. Local knowledge, traditions, and the experience were key tool in interpretation of various cultural values attached to the types of timber. Cultural histories, stories, experience, and recommendations of adults are the trustworthy carpenters heavily influence the purchase intention of the consumers. Intangible benefits such as religious, social, and the cultural values associated with the different timber types were influential in consumer decision. Moral and the spiritual well-being were influential compared to the economical benefits. Little or the poor consumer knowledge on identification of timber types and heavy dependency on carpenters and contractors on identification of timber purchase consumers towards to irrational purchase decisions. Luxury, super luxury timbers, luxury and special class timber were usually replaced by the substitutes. The prohibited timber. So timber of bow, na and me not recommend due to the religious reason. And timber of death tree, trees dead due to the thundering and trees growing in cemeteries are not recommended for housing construction. Next, types of timber for different use. Palu, jack, coconut, horror are main timber used for beams. And Alastonia, jack, Valdel, Guinesapu are the main timbers used for reapers. And mahogany, teak, Suryamara are main timber used for Biralu. And Veeravana, Panaka, Valdel, jack are the timber used for valance boards. And jack, teak, kohomba, mahogany are the main timber used for doors and windows. And Albizia, Lunumidella, teak used as main timber for ceiling boards. And kumbuk, bamboo, pinus, Suryamara, and coconut and kitul are the main timber used for flooring. The next, conclusions. Cultural values associated with timber, such as spiritual values, user values, and ethic of woods. The reference for the research what I did. So thank you, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. It's interesting. I don't know either you have seen State Timber Corporation website where Dr. Nimal Ruwan Patrana has published a book on timber and its uses, I think, in Sri Lanka. They have a list of timbers and the users.
Yeah, we have followed that one, and but we try to actually get that one, like what is in practice, especially like the consumers, most of the consumers, they are unaware of the type of timber. They are always behind with the values or what is esteemed with the wood. But it's like the recommendations always they are looking for teak, but it's sometimes actually it's not the teak that they are using. Lots of like the substitute products are like places on this the demand. So that's what we were like did this study to get the first-hand information, like how it affects the cultural values, and when they are in purchase decision or the making selection of wood for the housing construction, and what is the kind of the available substitutes, and because the price difference is very high between this the substitute products, but they believe they are using the proper timber with the cultural value, but actually it's like she couldn't explain the values, the ethics, cultural values, the use values of wood, they were at the figure. So we did extensive kind of qualitative information collected on what they believe with the different types of wood. Like why we are using ebony, it has kind of the lots of the value with the image. It's like long lasting thing, and believe that it brings some the prosperity to the household. Like,
what are your major recommendations then? Now you said that the State Timber Corporation analysis was wrong, and with that's why
no, it's not.
now you have
No, it's like
major recommendation of the study.
Yeah, it's like recommendation that there should be kind of the consumer awareness of on wood types. So if they are going behind the cultural values, there should be a kind of familiarity with the consumers, like what kind of wood they are using. Otherwise,
What
they
we are
are
saying
paying
is
lot.
what we are saying is a good identification issue, no? What at the moment what we are saying is good identification of whether customers are not, but your research is not that one. What your research is on the source of the uses of timber. What I'm saying is on your research, what can you recommend? Now you said that
we recommend
identification issue, that is one issue. That is okay. That's a separate research. No, that you have not identified actually whether teak is available, whether these people are telling correctly. That is you have not said. But even I cannot understand. Anyone and the carpenter should understand teak. Mahogany is a difficulty, but teak is not very difficult to identify. What I am saying is that
what we try to bring it, like they believe these cultural values there with the wood that they select, and then they select the wood, like let's say there are the use values like the long lasting things, the quality of wood and everything, and they believe that the wood that they use bring the prosperity to the household, but it is not actually, because they are not selecting the right wood. That's what we link this one. There is a cultural value, consumers going with the cultural value, but they are unable to select the wood that they want it. So make the correct purchase decision.
Okay, right. Thank you. Do you have any questions to ask?
So may I ask a question, sir?
Okay.
Sir, when we are using the timber for this, the housing purposes, it is not only just the cultural value, it is combined with the structural values as well. So do you have any idea with the particular timber species and the structural value when they are using for the housing purposes, as you said with the demand, it is not just the cultural value. So how can we clarify with the structural value of these timbers as well when we are using for the housing purposes?
Yeah, the structural values we have, like just like to make like the what type of wood currently they are using it. So the structural values, it's like the strength of it, the quality, like the colors, and how it can like the when the product is finalized, so the value you get. These things we the observed the data, and these things listed up in the 3 figures that we have
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Then the third presentation today is Nandini. Nandini, do you have any questions? Some more questions? Nandini is available?
Yes, I am here.
You are from which university?
I am from University of Rohan.
You can introduce paper. Mandar.
My paper?
ID 103, Nandini EJKP, pre-harvesting zone timber valuation system by using neural networks.
These are the main key points in my presentation.
Trees are a natural resource linked to human existence, and every part of a tree can be used for making extraordinary natural materials with endless uses. Different tree species provide timber with varying properties such as strength, durability, resonance, color, etc. Demand for timber resources in the world is increasing continuously due to the increase in population and industrialization. Currently, the main challenge faced by the timber industry is that there is no guarantee for a continuous supply of wood resources that need to feed existing industries and to encourage new investment in this industry. Therefore, it is very important and valuable to manage forest resources and sustainably utilize timber resources. Although there are some studies have done regarding timber and forest in Sri Lanka, there is no studies have done for forest or timber managed to the future. Therefore, the aim of this study is to develop a decision support system by artificial neural network, which belongs to the machine learning. Simply we are called ANN model. Then we hope to measure the volume of sawn timber and loss conversion before the timber harvesting by developed ANN model. This study focused on two types of trees named teak and jack trees. In this study, I have used artificial neural network techniques, which is a mathematical model of human brain. There are large number of nodes and large number of calculation steps. Output of the network model, which has one hidden layer, can be given as this formula. We can see that output of the network model depend on number of inputs units in the input layer, number of hidden units in the hidden layer, and activation function. At the beginning of the training process, weights are selected by randomly, and we should decide most suitable weights at the end of the training. The network model should be built by using historical data. Therefore, the relevant data for this study was collected from Atgala Depot in Gampola and Talalla Depot in Mathura, where two regional centers of the State Timber Corporation in Sri Lanka. We were able to collect 3 measurements of each log and daily average value of sawn timber volume and conversion lost, calculated by sawmill manager in traditional way. Before used ANN technology, we should pre-process the collected data. As the first step, collected data were re-scaled into the range between 0 and 1 by dividing maximum value of the relevant variable. Next, we separate dataset into two parts called training dataset and testing dataset. Training dataset was used to build the network model, and testing dataset used for measuring the performance of the fitted model. Then collected data was prepared into the form input and output. Here collected 3 measurements of each log considered as input variables of the model and sawn timber volume and conversion loss, which were target variables. Now I will show the results in this study. 3-10-2 model is the fitted optimal network architecture of ANN model. There are 3 input units in input layer, 10 hidden units in hidden layer, and 2 output units in output layer. At the end of training process, parameters of ANN model corresponding to teak and jack trees were selected as shown in the table by trial and error. All variables of ANN model regarding the jack and teak tree are equal, except number of epochs for training. It may be depend on nature of the log and number of sample data used for training. Network valuation for sawn timber volume for jack and teak logs are shown in this figure. Here, blue and purple colors are corresponding to network output and actual values respectively. Here, we can see that network output is very close to the actual values. Therefore, network was able to calculate sawn timber volume more accurately. Moreover, we can see that there is some deviation for teak log number 14, 15 and 16. This may be happen due to the log state. For example, there may some insect damage or uncommon log shape, etc. Unfortunately, we were unable to collect state of the log. These figures are shown the network output with actual values of conversion loss of each log in testing data set. Red and brown colors are represent the network output and actual values respectively. Here, network output have the average behavior of actual values. Since at present, sawmills in timber corporation in Sri Lanka calculate conversion loss averagely per day. In this study, we used those collected data after converting into each log percentagely. We will be able to increase the accuracy of network output of conversion loss if we can collect conversion loss of each log separately. At the end of my research, I will compare the network performance between teak and jack trees by mean square error and mean absolute error. This table shows those measurement values. According to the lowest error measurement, we can say that network have given more accurate results for jack trees. In the discussion part of the presentation, I would like to highlight these points. First one, state of the log affect to the its sawn timber volume and conversion lost. Second one, accuracy of the ANN predicted results can be increased by using more details of the log as inputs and increase the number of data points. Last one, data collection was very difficult because sawmill in timber corporation in Sri Lanka does not collect output details of each log and they have summarized details per day. At the end of my presentation, I will conclude my study as follows. The artificial neural network system gives more accurate results for sawn timber valuation and conversion loss before the harvesting, and it will gain a comprehensive potential of timber harvesting and timber procurement and production planning. These are some references used for this study. Thank you.
Thank you. It's very interesting. You are from computer science department or?
No, I am from mathematics department.
Right. Now, your computer knowledge, neural network knowledge, you have used to predict loss in conversion, basically, no?
Sawn timber volume is the basically, but meanwhile I have calculated conversion loss also.
Some of your neural network predictions were, as I have seen, 100% loss in conversion, whereas the actual value is about 50%. Because of these videos, we cannot stop there and you can't show them again. Is it true or?
I think sawn timber we have predicted more accurately. Conversion loss has 50% accurate because sawn timber sawmills in the timber corporation, they are calculated conversion loss averagely per day. They didn't calculate for each log, but in here I predicted conversion loss for the each log. Then data collection was there is a problem because I didn't have a conversion loss for each log. That's
in
why
this particular log, which we have calculated 100% loss in conversion. Why is that? your computer model has predicted 100% loss in conversion, means all have lost as a sawdust. Have you noticed?
There is a dust and some maybe a wood.
No, 100% mean all dust. No sawmill, no sawn timber at all.
No, we was able to collect the data, sawn timber volumes and other. Then other we are considered as a lost. Because other means there may be some wood part, firewood
in this
part.
particular example, 100% loss in conversion means no, all from the log, all are lost. Nothing has other, not single. Now these things also depends on various other parameters. Log diameter.
Yeah.
Now have you read any other literature on neural networks? Have in other countries have predicted these kind of things, or
not too much.
That's the reason. No. There are a lot of research ongoing. What we want is to have in this particular research also, what we need is a good cutting pattern. That defined by the machine learning, that is good. These particular researchers I have observed is that you have not referred to there are a lot of research going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Now in the machine, as you said, the loss in conversion is even you define or not, that is more or less constant. That is what you said.
And problem is, there is a cutting pattern getting a maximum sawn timber. Problem is we couldn't get the proper measurements from Timber Corporation.
At least not measurement. These are all mathematics.
That is a formula.
That is what I'm saying. Now there are two methods of optimizing timber. One is now in the Scandinavian sawmills and also in the North American sawmill, how they have defined is there are theories behind that. You can learn this one. And these are depend on various parameters. Now in various other countries, they saw in 1 diameter per time. Then you get a more accurate cutting pattern. First cut is very important. Where the machine, those things, if you can use your neural network knowledge, and we can improve you. Now this way which we have selected this study also for you to encourage coming into our research. Early research also similar, but you should know how to apply this one.
Yes.
You can get a better results in future.
I apply upon only the data. I didn't apply any.
No, this data is also questionable. That's what I'm saying. But you don't have to do this neural network for calculating this one. This is straightforward thing. That's what I'm saying. Now in future you can have a more prediction, more parameters. You should.
We need.
Learning part is very important. Machine learning part. And you can contact us, and we have a lot of problems to solve in Sri Lanka. And with your knowledge, you can use this one. And also other researchers who are doing timber technology also, we encourage you. And because we are trying to solve these problems, one of the problems for you is to have a optimum cutting pattern for a peak and other logs.
Sure.
Then you can get a lot of results, and also you need a big data. You don't have machine learning. You don't have enough data. You know to learn.
Because we are doing this research during the COVID-19 period.
Without the data, that's what I mean. Although we have selected, we need a lot of data for big data analysis for neural network. As you know, data. How many logs you had?
I have only more than 100, 131 kind, other one is 150. It is not enough. But
you know that the neural networks, we need a lot.
We need 1,000 types. We need 1,000 types data.
There are data. You don't have to generate data. Generate data is available. With data, data data, we will have, and we can give you good problems in future.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I will contact you, and I would like to continue this research more because it is. Sure, sir. Thank you for your.
She is also doing some kind of thing, and we can contact you, right? Okay, you can.
Okay, sure. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions to be asked?
Yes, sir, I have one question. So what about the consideration of other parameters like technical skill of the staff and something like that, other related?
Because in the sawmills, they are using experience. Persons, they are doing only that they are using experience. They don't have any other things. That's why we couldn't get any measurement for that one. At least we couldn't find the state of the log. So we lost lot of parameters.
Yes, I think we should consider other parameters too.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And then
Thank you, sir.
third presentation is by Di Costa. Umanda?
Yes, our next presenter is Di Costa, WASV, ID 149, title Identification and Categorization of Roof Designs in Western Province Houses, Sri Lanka.
Good afternoon all. Today I am here to present the findings of my undergraduate research under the topic of Identification and Categorization of Roof Designs in Western Province Houses, Sri Lanka. I am Sankajit Costa. These are the contents of my presentation. As an introduction, safe housing is one of the three basic needs of a human being that along with food and water. However, roof is the main component of any shelter which gives protection from natural elements and climatic conditions. Roof is made up from wooden and non-wooden components. When considering the ceiling of a roof, it can be made up from wooden components, non-wooden components, or combination of both. There are four major components of a roof. They are ridge plate, rafters, purlins, and wall plates. However, in some roofs, tie beams can be identified. When considering the importance of this study, in Sri Lanka, about 320,000 houses are built in a year. Among them, about 97,000 houses are built within the Western Province per year. Hence, wide range of design variety can be identified in the Western Province house roofs subject to different complexity categories. Therefore, major roof designs in Western Province and their complexity categories should be identified to predict their cost effectiveness and the structural accuracy. The main objective of our study is to identify and categorize major types of roof designs in Western Province houses for their design complexity. Let's move on to the materials and methods of our study. Under the sample selection, total of 90 different house plans were selected from Western Province houses based on random sampling technique. Then 30 house plans were obtained from Colombo, Kalutara and Gampaha districts. These house plans were obtained from house owners, architects and from the building contractors as hard copies and soft copies. The roof plan, front elevation and side elevation views were visually analyzed to identify the basic roof types in 90 house plans. These basic roof types were identified by discussion with carpenters and architects. Then, based on the number of the basic roof types, they were classified into different roof designs. After identification of roof types and roof designs, house plans were further classified into very simple, moderate and complex categories based on the number of roof types in each house plan. This is an example for the procedure that we use to calculate the complexity in each house plan. In this house plan, it has basic roof type 1, basic roof type 3 and basic roof type 4. Hence, 3 basic roof types were identified in the house plan 9 and it was categorized under the moderate level of complexity. Now I am going to present the results of our study. By visual analysis and comparison, 5 basic roof types were identified in the selected 90 house plans. They are gable roof, hip roof, one-side hip roof, lean-on or shed roof, and pyramid roof. Basic roof type 1 is gable roof. Gable roof consists of 2 rectangular roof sections sloped in opposite directions from the ridge plate. Hence, wall plates can be identified at the end of 2 rectangular sides. Usually these roofs were located on a gable wall. Basic roof type 2 is hip roof. Hip roof is the roof type that all four sides of the roof are directed towards masonry walls. Hence, wall plates can be identified in all four sides of the roof. Hip roofs consist of two trapezoidal and two triangular sides. These roofs are established symmetrically from the center line of the roof. Basic roof type 3 is one-side hip roof. One-side hip roof consists of two trapezoidal sides and one triangular side. Unlike hip roofs, these are asymmetrical from the center line of the roof. One-side hip roofs have a masonry wall at the end of the trapezoidal sides. Hence, wall plates can be only identified in three sides of the roof. Basic roof type 4 is shed or lean-on roofs. Shed or lean-on roofs are identified as monopitch roofs that slope down towards the one direction of a house. The steep of the slope varies between houses. Normally, both ends of the roofs are located on wall plates. Basic roof type 5 is pyramid roof. Pyramid roof consists of four sides of similar triangles. All these four triangular sides are sloping down towards masonry walls. Hence, wall plates can be identified in all four sides of the roof. These roofs do not have a ridge plate and rafter lengths become decreasing towards both ends of a triangular side from the middle. Most of the houses in Western Province were built using more than one basic roof type. 23 roof designs were identified in the Western Province houses and they were categorized from R1 to R23. According to figure 9, combination of gable and shed roof or R5 roof design was the most abundant roof design in Western Province houses. These are some of the field observations for identified basic roof types. Here are some of the examples for roof designs that we identified. According to figure 14, simple roof design was the most abundant roof design in Kaluthara and Gampaha district with 40% and 43% respectively. However, moderate level complexity roofs design were the most abundant in Colombo district with 47%. Lowest percentage of complex roofs were found in Kaluthara district while Gampaha and Colombo district had higher number of complex roofs. This indicates complexity of roofs increased from Kaluthara, Gampaha and Colombo districts. According to overall results, 38% roofs had simple level of complexity. 34%, 21% and 7% of house roofs had moderate, very simple and complex categories respectively in Western Province houses. When moving on to the conclusion, in Sri Lanka, highest residential houses are reported within the Western Province. Hence, high variation was identified between the roof designs. It was identified that 5 basic roof types and 23 roof designs in Western Province houses. Altogether, 73% of roof designs had very simple and simple level complexities. 7% of the roof design belong to complex category. Finally, it is recommended that roof designers should design simple roofs to enhance the structural accuracy and the cost effectiveness of house roofs in Sri Lanka. These are my references and thank you.
Okay, thank you. This paper is for discussion. If you have any questions, queries, you can ask.
So, Mr. Costa, so can you make a general recommendation
Yes.
from your study?
Yes, when we are focusing on to the roof design complexity categories in the Western Province houses, we analyze that mostly, however, most of the houses that we have identified, they have designed based on the simple level. But when considering the 7%, 10%, and 5% that we have identified in the Kalutara, Gampa, and the Colombo district, and the complexity is increasing towards the Kalutara, Gampa, and Colombo. So this may be not only this is based on the designer's as perspective, it is directly related with the client's requirements as well. So if a client want to design a complex roof with the economic level, they can request to the particular designer to have a complex roof. However, we have calculated the structural accuracy, and we have compared some of the structural aspect of this roof, and we have find out the structural aspects are higher in the simple roofs than respect to the complex roof categories.
Yes, then what about the overall structural strength? I mean, because to take the load of the roof, it is needed to maximize the strength of other columns and beams.
Yes, when we are considering about the structural aspect, it is mainly combined with the span of the roof and the strength properties of the timber beams that we are using for. These are the some of the main two aspects that we have to look when the load is applying on particular timber beams. So we are planning to construct a roof with large spans. We have to use a timber species with the high strength properties.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now the final presentation is by Chandrasiri. Chandrasiri, are you available?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
You are from?
I'm from University of Sri Jayawardhanapura.
Okay, right.
Hello everyone, I am Yasindra Chandrasiri and I will present our findings on second generation bioethanol production, green alternative energy for future energy crisis. This is the outline of my presentation. First, I will give a brief introduction to the topic. Bioethanol is a clear, colorless and inflammable polar solvent obtained through fermentation of biomasses. It has become the most widely used alternative liquid fuel worldwide and considered as a potential solution for future energy crisis because it can be used as an automotive fuel directly in specially designed engines or as a fuel extender by blending with diesel. Based on renewable sources used for generating bioethanol, bioethanol can be largely classified as first generation bioethanol, second generation bioethanol, third generation bioethanol and fourth generation bioethanol. Here I will be mainly focused on second generation bioethanol. Second generation bioethanol is produced using lignocellulosic biomass like aquatic plants, forest materials, agricultural residues and organic portion of municipal solid waste. Lignocellulosic biomass is a promising feedstock for ethanol production because they are non-edible and highly available. Also, use of lignocellulosic biomass for ethanol production is a solution for waste management because almost all the lignocellulosic biomass are waste products. When we talk about the significance of the study, as we all know, there are rapid, unprecedented advances in human civilization over the past decades, and along with that, energy consumption has also increased. Therefore, it has been anticipated that the current fossil fuel reserves will be exhausted by next 40 to 50 years. Also, Sri Lanka mainly depends on energy obtained from fossil fuel and the transportation of the country depends on the imported petroleum fuels. So that Sri Lanka will also need perspectives for alternative fuel generation as a solution for the upcoming energy crisis. In the world, ethanol has gained a massive interest as an alternative liquid fuel compatible with fossil fuel because especially ethanol is used as a fuel extender by making blends with petroleum diesel. Therefore, production of bioethanol using lignocellulosic biomass provides a promising solution for the escalating energy crisis. As a country with agricultural economics, Sri Lanka has abundant number of agricultural residues and forest materials which are ideal for use as lignocellulosic biomass in bioethanol production, and other than that, organic fraction of municipal solid waste also can be used as a promising feedstock for bioethanol production in Sri Lanka. This will provide more eco-friendly solid waste management strategy to the country as well. Thus, this study was carried out to determine the possibility of the production of second-generation bioethanol using paper waste and corn cob as lignocellulosic biomass and use of bioethanol as an alternative fuel. This is the schematic diagram of the process of second-generation bioethanol production, starting from collection of lignocellulosic biomass, then pre-treatment of the biomass, hydrolysis, fermentation, and finally ethanol recovery and purification. In the methodology, two bacterial strains, Bacillus species and Nocardiopsis species, which were isolated from a previous study, was used for hydrolysis, and for fermentation, Achromobacter species, which was isolated from the same previous study, was used. Following this procedure, acid pretreatment and alkaline pretreatment of corn cobs were performed, and this procedure was followed for acid pretreatment and alkaline pretreatment of paper waste. The production of second-generation bioethanol using pre-treated biomass was done according to this procedure. The production of bioethanol by following the previously mentioned procedure was screened using two methods as primary screening and secondary screening. Primary screening of bioethanol production was done using Durham tubes according to this procedure. The secondary screening of bioethanol production was done using solid phase microextraction method combined with GCMS. From now on, I am going to discuss the results of the study. These figures shows the bacterial cultures of Bacillus species, Nocardiopsis species and Achromobacter species which were used in the study. These figures shows the appearances of the biomass, corn cobs and paper waste after the pretreatment procedures. The primary screening of ethanol production through simultaneous saccharification and fermentation were tested using Durham tubes, and according to the results, all the samples had shown the production of ethanol by the presence of air trapped in the Durham tubes. Solid phase microextraction coupled with GCMS was used as the secondary screening of the bioethanol production through simultaneous saccharification and fermentation, and the production of bioethanol was quantified using selected iron mode analysis. The results of the selected iron mode analysis showed the highest ethanol percentage was obtained from alkaline pre-treated paper waste hydrolyzed by Bacillus species, and acid pre-treated corn cob hydrolyzed by Bacillus species had given the second highest ethanol percentage. The lowest ethanol percentage was obtained from alkaline pre-treated corn cobs hydrolyzed by Nocardiopsis species. Thus, these results shows that the paper waste acts as a high potential feedstock in the use of second generation bioethanol production. According to the results of the present study, I can conclude that the use of lignocellulosic biomass to generate second-generation bioethanol provides a long-term answer to the future energy dilemma. Pre-treatment of lignocellulosic biomass enhances the hydrolyzing rates and ethanol yields, and according to the results, simultaneous saccharification and fermentation using alkaline pre-treated paper waste hydrolyzed by Bacillus species and fermented by Achromobacter species gives the highest ethanol percentage. As a consequence, paper waste does have a high potential as a feedstock to second generation bioethanol production. These are my references, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Chandasiri, now,
Yeah.
is there now you have your methods? I think these bacteria and the biological material, these are very common, no?
Yeah.
What is there any new rather than repeating those things in your laboratory in vitro conditions? Is there anything new on to report on Sri Lankan context or possibility of applying these ones?
Actually, sir, the production of bioethanol using this lignocellulosic biomass is not very much popular in Sri Lanka. And also when in other countries as well, when they hydrolysis is mainly done by using chemicals actually. There are research that was done using bacteria as well. So in my research, I used a bacteria for hydrolysis process as well. And it in the most studies, they have used chemicals for the hydrolysis process. And applying, when we consider about applying this to the Sri Lanka, as we know, Sri Lanka, we mainly depend on agriculture. So
those things are okay. Those things are okay. Your application of Sri Lanka is okay. Imports of that's okay. What I'm referring is that what you are research today. This is the first time in the world that you have isolated this fungi and use paper waste to produce bioethanol.
No, sir. This bacteria was not identified by me. It was identified by the previous study, as I heard, the Nocardiopsis species that used in hydrolysis is found for the first time, and I have used them in production of bioethanol using lignocellulosic biomass, which is very common in Sri Lanka, the paper waste and the corn cobs.
Then other one is I have seen 0.7, the best one, and you have not statistically proven that this fungi is better than other one. With this bacteria is better than other. You said this is better because on 0.72 and other one is 0.73. Is the ethanol percentage is enough? 7
No, sir.
even 1%.
No, yeah. Yeah, sir, it's very low. That is the problem with that use of bacteria for hydrolyzing and fermentation. For fermentation also, we used instead of yeast, because normally the most common bacteria used for fermentation is Saccharomyces cerevisiae, but we used Achromobacter species, a new one. So using them, the ethanol, the production of ethanol is very low. So we have to improve them by changing the conditions and some other pre-treatment methods and some other aspects.
You have not discussed that thing, no? You said that everything is going and this can be applied in Sri Lanka, things like that, no? Is this thing? And also this is only the in vitro production, and this has to be applied in the field, and it might be difficult. And the paper, is it Sri Lankan paper? There are a lot of other parameters, no? And so, and you have not compared these things. You have a good, when reading your title, I thought this, wow, very good one. But then you need to clarify these things, the research and this particular research. Have you published this one anywhere? This paper?
Yes, sir. I have published a paper in International Journal of Renewable Energy.
So they have published this paper, no? Because on these levels. So it's okay. Have you to us, have you given a part of that research, or the full paper published elsewhere and part of this research is published in the symposium, or what?
Yes, sir. This is a part of my research. There's another part.
That's the thing. You have given a very small part to us, saying that this is very good one.
Yes.
ඒක පොඩ බලන්න ඕනේ මම දෙනකොට නැත්නම් අපිත් ටික second class වෙනවනේ නේ. What is the difference in the other research which is internationally accepted research, what you have not given us? ඒක මොනවද තියෙන්නේ?
There's another part, sir, that use of ethanol as an alternative fuel. I have actually we were planning to prepare ethanol, extract them, and use them by making blends with diesel to check their qualities, compare qualities with the normal diesel we are using in Sri Lanka. But due to the pandemic situation and time, we used ethanol in the lab and checked whether these by mixing ethanol and diesel, can we use them as a normal fuel. So we prepared some blends and compared them with octane 92 diesel standards by Sipetco.
Now is it anywhere in the future you will produce ethanol, bioethanol in the university by using these techniques, or just for the other research you are doing another research, or are you going to produce?
There was a plan to produce again and test, do the further research on this.
Okay. Thank you very much for all the presenters, and since I have one of my students has also, one of my papers is also presented, I have given the selection of the papers to Dr. Tilak Chandra Tilaka.
So till we get the final evaluation, shall we all turn on our videos for a while to take some photographs, if possible? Can you all turn on your videos for a while and give us a thumbs up? All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the researchers, and it's very encouraging. Our field, timber technology, and a lot of other university researchers have come up to solve these issues of timber technology, and you can, especially these neural networks and things like that, we have published a lot of research, and these research contain a lot of big data which are analyzed very few. And I think the big data researchers, they don't have to start from the scratch and collecting the data. As you know, there are already available data there. And also the fungal researchers, we welcome you all. And there are a lot of things to be resolved in Sri Lanka to solve Sri Lanka's timber issues. So we will like to share our research, and some of them are published, some of them are not published. And we also have a Timber Research Innovation Center in our university. We are working closely with the newly established timber ministry. There is a timber furniture ministry, the medium, small scale industries ministry. And also on the other hand, the industry, they have a lot of issues to be solved. So we welcome you all for your inputs. In the meantime, I think Dr. Tilak Chandra Tilaka will select something, or
yes, sir. Based on the presentation skills and the performances made in this Q&A session, I selected Nandani EJKP. The title is Pre-Harvesting Sawn Timber Valuation System by Using Neutral Networks, as the best presenter for the session.
In fact, I have advised Tilak to ignore our research from considering. That's what I said to him. I will not chair this session because it is not fair for my students. But since the allocated chairman was declined to come, I had to chair. Therefore, our research was, the Costa was presented, was excluded from the selection.
Yes.
I thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So now we have come to the end of today's session. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Hiran Amarasekara for extending your immense support towards today's session. And also congratulations to the best presenter and all the presenters for joining hands with us today. We wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors. So thank you very much once again, and have a good day.